nobody. The golden era of hip hop was the best era to me because it was so new. You'd never heard it before. I saw and heard a lot of people say that it wasn't going to be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't going to last or whatever. You know, here we are, what, 40, 50 years later?
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy, and it's the biggest music, if I'm not mistaken. It's the biggest genre.
Era being Rakim for me, that moment when I Ain't No Joke came out, that moment for me was like, oh, because it sounded so rough. It sounded like the mix was so disgusting.
Yeah, man. Around that time, when Rakim first came out, I remember I was at my grandma Nan's house, and I used to, all we really had here in Detroit was The Wizard. And The Wizard was on WJLB. And The Wizard every night from like midnight till whatever time would play hip hop. And it'd all be that I never heard. Kumo D, Go See the Doctor, like all kinds of. So what I would do is record the radio and then wake up the next day for school and listen to what I had. And the only bad thing about that was you'd hear one verse from somebody and then another verse would come in from a totally different song, which, you know, so a lot of times it'd be like, I know this first verse by heart, but I don't know the rest of the song by heart because, you know, that's all I got.
Rakim, though, the God MC. The God MC.
One of the greatest things about Rakim to me was he would use words that you've heard this word rhyme before, but it'd almost be like I don't just use an example. I know he didn't say this, but like if it was, you know, girl and world. And then all of a sudden Rakim, you'd expect him to rhyme that, and he's rhyming plural and rural. You know what I'm saying? So it was like different. Like he's like, okay, these words haven't really been rhymed yet. And he was the first,
Right.
like I take 7 MCs, put them in a line and add 7 more brothers who think they can rhyme. Well, it'll take 7 more before I go for mine. And that's 21 MCs ate up at the same time. Easy does it, do it easy. That's what I'm doing. No fessing, no messing around. Yo, the inside rhyme schemes, all that shit, man.
Yeah. I feel like Microphone Fiend, though. I feel like when I heard Microphone Fiend and Lyrics of Fury. When I heard Lyrics of Fury,
God, yeah.
There's a line I want to find on Lyrics of Fury. There's only one capable, breaks the unbreakable, melodies unmakeable, patent unescapable, a horn if you want, the style I possess. I bless the child, the earth, the gods, and bomb the rest. Oh.
By the way, I think Rakim probably is still great. I haven't heard anything he's working on lately, but I guarantee you he ain't lost that.
Yeah.
Because it just that kind of shit don't go away. It just doesn't.
Do you notice the lists when they come out sporadically? And it's great. It's great for fans to dive into that debate because it's energy and it's debate and it's good. Yeah. And you're always on the list. Do you read the list when it goes viral and it's like, all right, top 20 rappers of all time, and then the whole thing sort of it sucks the air out of the room? Do you sort of log on and check that stuff out when it's happening?
Like I don't know if it's fair to say I don't really get into those lists. Like I don't really it doesn't really matter to me. I know for a fact how I feel. I rap to be the best rapper, but I'm not the only rapper who raps to be the best rapper. Wayne, Cole, Kendrick, you know what I'm saying? Like Joyner Lucas, they rap to be the best rapper. And I feel like that's, you know, when you push yourself like that, that's what I feel like inspires greatness. Yeah. But the list, man, sometimes you almost have to go by era.
Well, let's talk about Nas for a second, because Halftime's on the list. And that's obviously for fans. That's on Illmatic 5 Mic Classic.
Yeah,
that's a real fans cut as well. Like when the debut album came out, Halftime had been out. It was actually already in existence. People knew about it, but he included it on the final track listing, which is something because that track listing is 10 songs in 36 minutes. It's so reduced and so essential. Why did you choose Halftime? And as someone who kind of, I guess, grew up being a fan of Nas before you were a contemporary of Nas's, what is it about him that you loved as a fan before you got to know him as the artist?
There's too many moments that he had for me to even be able to count them. One of the reasons that I picked Halftime, though, is because there's some rhyme schemes on there that most rappers to this day probably can't do. And that's one of the things that has made Nas so great over his career. Like when he, cause when I blast the herb, that's my word. I'll be slaying them fast, doing this, that, and the third, but chill past the entree and let's lay. I back up at John Jay and hit a matinee. He was rhyming entire sentences. And I'm like, what the is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, Illmatic, I can't even. I mean, you know, everybody knows that is a classic, essential album.
Yeah.
I don't know where you place that in hip hop, but it's got to be at the top. I think that I've been inspired by so many rappers. It taught me different flow patterns, different schemes you could do. And then when you start finding your own that you feel like haven't been done yet, that's when it becomes fun.
By the way, Pete Davidson did a good job, man. You got to hand it to him. He flipped that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember they sent me the lyrics to it, and I was reading them on paper, and I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be that good. And then the way when he said it, like I was like, holy, like he said it so good that he sold every single thing. And you can't. First of all, everybody's raps look terrible on paper, right? Because you don't necessarily know, unless you're a rapper yourself, you don't necessarily know where, even if you are, you don't know where they're going to hit the beat at, what pocket they're going to choose. Yeah. And he was in an ill pocket. Like he was kind of going like, and he'd go a little faster and then he kind of slow down. Like, so you could catch what he just said.
And he had your intensity as well. I love that you were looking at it through your fingers just like the rest of us were, because it's like that song is it's become this iconic moment for you, but it's like millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people love that song. And so when you're going to bring it into a comedy environment, it's such a powerful story. You're like, oh no, Mr. Pete, no, what are you doing? But he kept your intensity. That's the thing.
Yeah, his delivery was for sure really on point, because it was not what I expected when I saw it. I was like, man, this is actually really good.